Hello, parents. It's Mr. Hutchinson here on a Friday morning to give you a little bit of a social studies video update of what we have been doing this week and what we're going to be doing next week. We have 2 short weeks in a row here. We had Martin Luther King Day holiday on Monday this week, and then there's a teacher workday coming next Monday as we have finished the quarter, and so we've got some grades that are going to be kind of finalizing. So here's what we have been doing in social studies this week. We've been finalizing our unit on ancient achievements in the ancient world. We kind of started the beginning of the week with Chinese inventions and science. So we were looking at gunpowder, we were looking at the magnetic compass, we were looking at some cool things with some of their architecture like the Great Wall of China and certain things around the Chinese world of inventions and science. That was a 2-day kind of project. We did a little assignment where they watched some videos, one on gunpowder, one on Great Wall, one on the terracotta soldiers, and then answered some questions. Those grades are going into the grade book as the students finish them. Most of the students finished it in class yesterday on Thursday, actually. They started it on Wednesday. Some people finished it on Wednesday. The rest of them finished it on Thursday. Also, we started on Thursday yesterday the achievement end of unit check project that we do each time we finish a unit. So that was where they were given a packet with vocabulary questions and then some questions that they answer in a short essay style. They started that yesterday. They will have all day in class to finish it today in class, and hopefully they will all be able to do that. I think most of them will. It's 5 questions that are short answer, and then about 10 questions that are vocabulary multiple choice. So it's not too much. Remember, they're using their notes. They're trying to put together all the pieces of the puzzle from this big unit and then push it out. So hopefully I will take that. I will then, over the weekend and the teacher workday, get it graded because grades are due right at the beginning of next week for the second quarter. We start the third quarter on Tuesday. So this is what we will be looking at on Tuesday because we're moving into our unit on politics. That's one of the reasons why I moved over here so you can see our little poster there that is politics right back here. And so what we'll be starting with on Tuesday is vocabulary pre-assessment, which we always start with to kind of see what they know and what they don't know about the vocabulary words. We'll also be starting a reading called Foundations of Government and Political Systems. The main goal of this unit on politics is the beginning of governments. How do governments come around? Why do we have governments? What are laws? Why do we have laws? How do governments kind of function in different ways around the world? What kind of different types of government are there? So you can see that's what we're going to be working on. So we've got a Foundations of Government Political Systems kind of reading, which is the basics. There's some questions that go with that. We're going to be talking about types of government like monarchies and dictatorships. We're going to be talking about oligarchy versus democracy versus autocracy, the different ways that we can form these governments around the world and throughout history. There are going to be notes that we'll do and some graded questions. There's going to be some scenarios where we give kids a little scenario and they have to look at it, read it, kind of look at what's happening and then say, oh, well, that's an example of a democracy or that's an example of a dictatorship. Then we'll be getting into the laws and citizens of the Roman Republic with a reading and graded questions. Now, it looks like graded questions like I was looking as I was putting this together, and I was like, whoa, that's a lot of, it will be stretched. I'm almost guaranteeing that we will get through the first part of it will take a couple of days. The second part of it will take a couple, 3 days. And so a lot of this will stretch into the next week, and those grades won't be back to back like it kind of looks here. So don't get too nervous about that. We'll be stretching that thing out. I think we went over it with my cohort, Miss Elliott, and I think we have a total with the end of unit check 6 grades in this whole unit on politics. So there's 4 of them right there. So that will be stretched out. I can almost guarantee you that. So that's what we have been doing. That's what we will be doing. I do want to just bring up real quickly so you can kind of see this, as I talked about in my last video. This is Unit 5 on politics, and this slide deck will be unlocked for the students on Tuesday. It gives you on the left-hand side kind of a little bit of an overview of what we will be doing. We'll be doing it maybe not exactly in the order that you see it there, and we won't be doing exactly every bit and piece of it, but we'll be doing a lot of that as we go over this unit, and this is a great way for you to kind of go over and kind of review what your students are doing, give them some feedback and practice, and you can kind of see the things that we're going to be talking about if you're interested in looking at that or using that for a review tool with your students when they get home. Okay? So that's what we are doing. That's what we will be doing this week in social studies. Have a wonderful weekend. Ooh, be careful out there. Make sure you follow the ABCs of North Carolina when the ice storm's coming. Always be charging. All right? Be safe out there. I'll see you next week.